Back in the late 18th century, the British were fighting a series of wars against the Kingdom of Mysore in India, and those British boys got their butts kicked several times because the Mysoreans had invented rockets. They would fire these things with 1,000 to 3,000 yard ranges, using iron cylinders and bamboo shafts filled with gunpowder that would ignite on contact. According to one eyewitness, a single rocket killed 3 men and badly wounded others. So when the British took control of Mysore in 1799, they took an interest in these so-called Congreve rockets, so named because they were delivered to Britain's controller of the Royal Laboratories at Woolwich Arsenal. By 1804, he developed prototypes with improved range and payload. The British military loved it. But what made these rockets so special? Well, for one, they were made of stronger stuff. Instead of bamboo, Congreve used 15-foot wooden sticks and sheet iron casings sealed with bitumen to withstand the higher combustion pressures created by the rocket's new propulsion system. That's right, these babies were filled with compressed gunpowder instead of loose grains, meaning they could carry more fuel and deliver bigger payloads. Incendiary, explosive, or shrapnel, the 32-pounder, 3.5 feet long, 4-inch diameter became the standard, delivering 7 to 10 pounds of explosives up to 3,000 yards. There were also lighter and heavier versions. The heavy class, 100 to 300 pounds, was used for siege bombardment with a range of 2,000 to 2,500 yards. The medium class, 24 to 42 pounds, was your standard field artillery piece with the same 2,000 to 3,000 yard range. And then the light class, 6 to 18 pounds, provided infantry or cavalry support at 1,000 to 2,000 yards. Those are the basics of how the Congreve rocket worked, and why it was so effective. Now let me tell you about some of its greatest hits. During the Napoleonic Wars, British rocket batteries wreaked havoc on the French at Boulogne in 1806. Over 200 rockets set the French port ablaze, causing mass panic. Congreve noted, not a shot was returned. In less than 10 minutes, the town was on fire. In Copenhagen in 1807, 25,000 rockets ignited the city, forcing Denmark's surrender. At Leipzig in 1813, British rocket batteries disrupted French formations, aiding the Allied victory. Though inaccurate, their noise and glare demoralized troops. During the War of 1812, the rocket's most famous engagement occurred when HMS Erebus fired on Fort McHenry in Baltimore. The rockets created the rocket's red glare immortalized in the U.S. national anthem, but despite the inspiring lyrics, only 4 deaths resulted from 25 hours of bombardment. A few days later, British troops set fire to Washington. On their way to Bladensburg, they scattered U.S. militia with rockets, allowing the British to burn Washington. A British officer quipped, "Never did men with arms make better use of their legs." By 1818, rocket brigades existed in Britain, Russia, and Austria. Russia even manufactured Congreve-style rockets in St. Petersburg, using them in the Russo-Turkish War. British forces deployed rockets in colonial campaigns like Burma in 1824 and New Zealand in 1845. Despite its tactical strengths, the Congreve rocket had significant weaknesses. It was inaccurate. Sticks often snapped mid-flight, veering off course. Heavy rockets required wagons, and the sticks themselves warped in humidity. Crews were exposed during reloading and rockets could detonate prematurely. But the Congreve rocket wasn't just a military innovation, it also had civilian applications. In 1807, Henry Trengrouse attached lines to rockets for ship-to-shore rescues, a precursor to modern maritime safety systems. And yes, that is a thing. In 1821, Congreve experimented with harpooning whales with rockets. Though without success, the Congreve rocket was eventually superseded by the Hale rocket in the 1840s, which replaced sticks with spin-stabilized exhaust vanes. The US used Hale-fire rockets in the Mexican-American War, but by the 1850s, rifled artillery had outranged rockets, and Britain retired the Congreve rockets in 1867. Though they continued using the Hale design, but the Congreve rocket's impact went beyond the battlefield. It inspired George Stephenson's locomotive rocket in 1829, linking rocketry to industrial progress. But it was also a flawed revolution. Its inaccuracy and vulnerability mirrored the limits of early rocketry. Congreve himself was a controversial figure, best known for his perpetual motion machine and anti-reform newspaper, The Times. But as historian Richard Hobbs noted, Congreve's real triumph was reintroducing the gunpowder rocket to Western armies. After centuries of neglect, it laid the groundwork for modern missiles and proved that sometimes terror can be a weapon all its own. Now check out this video on the deadliest weapons of World War II or this video.